Welcome to the Immeasurably More podcast. We are celebrating something that we believe is pretty incredible. Over 150,000 downloads and more than 250 episodes since we started this podcast almost 4 years ago. When we look back, we're so grateful for every person who has listened, shared an episode, prayed for us, and walked alongside us. Most of all, we're grateful for the way God has used these conversations in ways we never could have planned or imagined. So to celebrate, we thought it would be fun to share our top 5 most listened to episodes since starting the podcast, in case you missed one along the way, or maybe you just want to listen again. And we're starting with number 1. The most listened to episode is part 1 of the story of Beau Bean. This episode is obviously very close to our hearts, and it was hard recording what we did. It's the beginning of my grandson Beau's story and our family's journey through circumstances we never expected. It's a story of heartbreak, fear, and uncertainty, but also of God's faithfulness, His presence, and His goodness in the middle of it all. And it's also a testimony to the fact that God still performs miracles, and Beau is evidence. So whether you've heard this one before or you're listening for the first time, we hope Beau's story reminds you that even when life looks nothing like you thought it would, God is still there, and He is still able to do immeasurably more than you could ever ask or imagine.
Welcome to the Immeasurably More podcast.
Wait a minute.
I'm back.
Whoa. Whose voice is that?
I'm back. It's been a little while, but I am so excited to be back here on the podcast. If you've been listening, if you've been tuning in to just the last few months, there's been a lot going on in our family, which is what we're going to talk about today. But if you've been paying attention to the podcast specifically, my mom has been sharing these prayers every week.
Conversations with God.
Yep.
It was supposed to be a summer series.
And it got pushed back a little bit.
So it was a summer-fall series. And then we felt led to share some extra prayers as part of that season because we needed prayer so desperately. And we're going to talk about that. And what I'm talking about regarding that is after Erin had her son, Beau. So we're going to be talking about why we needed prayer so much and how much prayer meant to us. But we felt that it would be a great idea to share just the raw prayers that we were praying in the hospital. So those were pretty special as well. But I'm so glad you're here, Erin.
I know, I missed it.
I miss you, and it's not the same without you, obviously. And I know that it takes incredible. Well, here Erin and I are having this conversation, but Parker is here also.
Hello.
Parker is here to also share the story with us. So obviously we couldn't share the story without him. He's Beau's dad. So we needed to include you in the conversation. So we're all here to just share our story and what has been going on over the last few months. And I'm just thankful to be back.
And our audience, we just want to thank you for being so faithful and for being here with us. And if you're new to the Immeasurably More podcast, welcome. We have so much more in store coming. But this podcast, this episode specifically, I know it takes a lot of courage for both of you guys to share the story. You've never shared the story the way you're going to share it today on the podcast. You have yet to do that. So I just want to thank you for being vulnerable and open to sharing what happened, talking about your pregnancy, Erin, talking about your birth, and then everything that happened after that. Because I think in sharing, we always do this. You know, our family is very open with our journey in all that we've been through, and we have seen how God has used it to be glorified, but ultimately also to encourage people. And that's why you're sharing this, is to encourage someone out there. Maybe, you know, you're going through something similar, or you are going through a difficult season, and we just want to encourage you. And that's all we ever want to do through the podcast, is encourage you and bless God. So let's start with your pregnancy. You shared a little bit, you know, throughout your pregnancy on the podcast, and you had such an amazing pregnancy. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I did have an amazing pregnancy. I loved being pregnant. In fact, I think I said to you, Parker, I was like, if every pregnancy is this smooth, like, let's have a million kids.
I
But
remember you saying that, and I was really happy.
I was like, uh-oh.
I mean, and I was so thankful it went so smoothly. And I have a lot of friends whose pregnancies didn't go smoothly and they were sick all the time. But I loved being pregnant. Towards the end, I was very thankful that it was towards the end. And
Right.
I couldn't wait to meet our son. Yeah, everything during pregnancy went great. Every doctor's appointment was amazing. I remember going into the doctors and them seeing the ultrasound and everything and literally telling us he's perfect.
Right.
And hearing his heartbeat at different appointments and just the word perfect came out of the doctor's mouth multiple times.
I remember that.
And so I was really banking on perfection. I was banking on everything going perfectly and my son being born and everything being quote unquote perfect.
Right.
And it's interesting because we come up with all of these plans in life, right? We constantly I'm a planner and I'm also
Is that a type A person?
I think so.
I don't know what type I am, but
I
it's
don't know,
something.
but we're planners, we're like mild control freaks.
Mild.
Mild
Well, now
control
we're mild.
freaks.
Maybe after everything that happened,
Yeah,
we released
we're
a lot
major.
of control.
Yeah. I had everything planned from the birth. I mean, my birth plan was a solid page long. And I brought it to the hospital with me and I had all of these plans. Like, this is exactly how my birth is going to go. And I remember saying to my counselor too, because I had, made this plan that this is how I wanted things to go. And I remember saying to my counselor, but I've prayed about it and I'm trusting God that if it doesn't go according to my plan, then it's okay. And I'm going to be okay with it if it's not perfectly according to plan, but I still want to have a plan.
Right.
But little did I know that that plan wouldn't unfold at all. When I was saying to her, I have a plan, but if it doesn't go according to my plan, like I know it's God's plan and it's okay, I was referring to things like
Simple
getting an
things.
epidural.
Right.
All the like things that you kind of plan when you're giving birth. I didn't think that things not going my plan would mean that we would spend the first 38 days of my son's life in the hospital. And so I learned very, very quickly, which I've learned in the past and different things that our family has gone through, that we're not in control and that God's plans are better and greater. But when it comes to your own child, I mean, it's completely different.
Right.
And my faith was tested all over again. I'll share a little bit of the birth story. I was 39 weeks.
One day.
Yeah. Well, he was born 39.
39 on the dot.
Yeah. And 39 weeks, my water broke at 2 a.m. I
remember
Parker,
that.
Yeah. I woke Parker up. I went to go to the bathroom and then something's not quite normal. And so I woke Parker up and I was like, I think my water broke. He's like, you think? Like, what do you mean? And obviously we've never done this before. So I had no idea what it's like for your water to break. I don't know what it feels like, what I'm supposed to experience based on what you told me, Mom. You're like, you basically feel like you're peeing your pants and you can't stop it.
Right.
So I was like,
right.
Okay, well, this is definitely not normal. And so Parker, I think you were like semi in denial for a bit.
I think even though we were a week out from your due date, and we knew that is such a, flexible day. That's, they throw that day out there to give you some sort of ballpark, but we knew it could come early or later. But I don't think like mentally you're prepared for it to actually happen.
Right.
So when you were like, I think my water broke, I'm like, what? Come again? Is this actually happening? And I mean, it's in that moment where you're just like, oh my gosh. Throughout the pregnancy and the closer we got, the more real it felt, as we saw, your belly getting bigger and Beau growing. But then when it's actually go time, it's pretty wild.
At first, I think I was also semi in denial. I was like, is this for real? Parker's like, well, why don't you just lay back down and get
lay
up.
back down after your water
Yeah.
breaks? He has no idea.
Get up.
Well,
and
it wasn't like water was gushing out.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
You guys called me and I saw
Yeah.
the water on the floor.
I called you.
Oh, well, that was like, then
Yeah.
we really knew. at
Yeah,
that
then
point.
we really knew. I called you, Mom, and I was like, it was middle of the night. But I had warned you. I said, Mom, if you get a call from me in the middle of the night, don't panic. But no, it's probably like my water probably broke. And so I remember I FaceTimed you and I told you,
You
and
did.
you were in shock. And then we called the doctor and she's like, all right, well, you can come in right now. I was like, well, I'm not having contractions. Like, can I wait a bit?
Right.
Because we had done birthing classes and stuff, and they had said, you don't have to go in right away, whatever. And we had an amazing doula who helped us out with that whole process too, prior to going to the hospital, and gave us advice. And so I was texting her. We called her and was like, my water broke. And so she was really talking us through the hours later until we went to the hospital. And we ended up going at like 9, I think.
So that was 7 hours after your water broke.
Yeah.
And let me just segue here. Parker and Erin, how did you feel about having a doula? Because I did not have a doula. And I think that's a more recent kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's been around for
Yeah.
a long time. But like, are you thankful that you did that? Is that
Mhm.
something you would do again?
Oh, yeah.
What would you say, just talk about that just briefly, because I think I was surprised that you had a doula
Yeah.
and that you guys decided to do that. And I was thankful, though, that you did.
Mhm.
From a man's perspective, when Erin first brought it up, I was like, ain't no way. Like, we don't need someone we don't know with us. Like, we'll figure
Right.
it out. And I really wasn't like aware of the role that a doula would play. So I think I was skeptical at first, but in hindsight, it was incredible. She was incredible.
Mhm.
We felt extremely comfortable with her, never like had second thoughts about her being in there with us during one of the most incredible and like intimate moments that we could experience, bringing new life into this world. And just, yeah, she was incredible. She made the whole experience, I think, better for us.
Yeah.
And I think we would probably have her again for if God blesses us with a second child. Even though like
Absolutely.
we know more what to expect this time, like she was just so helpful and helped us navigate. Well, Erin helped Erin navigate, but like also helped me like know what to do in certain situations and be the best support I could for Erin. So yeah, it was an incredible experience, and I think it gave us a lot of peace in the midst of the whole process.
Well, and going into it, in my mind, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm
Mhm.
doing. I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea really how to prepare in certain ways. And so having her was so helpful and beneficial. And she helped me during pregnancy, where I had asked her questions and everything, or how to prepare. And she was really helpful in preparing for that day, but also having someone that I could text and be like, hey, should we go to the hospital now? Or
Right.
is this normal to feel this way and everything? So, but she was very amazing at being there to support us leading up to birth. And then also during labor, she was there at the hospital. Mom, you were also
Yes.
there. You'll have to share your take
Yeah.
on everything. But she came once I started having, more intense contractions, and she helped Parker with different positions and ways to help me to get through contractions. She was just so helpful, and things that we wouldn't have known to do.
Right.
We wouldn't have known to do all the things that she helped us to do. And so having her there was very, very beneficial, especially once the contractions really started to pick up. And speaking of all of the plans, I had planned to have a natural birth. I didn't want to use an epidural. That was my plan. And not for any reason other than I really just wanted to do it naturally. If you've given birth, you know how painful it is. All of the women out there who have had children. I did it all natural till about,
It seemed like for a long time.
was it like 9 o'clock at night that night?
Yeah, 9 or 10
Right, because
that
then
night.
yes.
Yeah, I think it
Well,
was like 10 o'clock. So my water broke at 2 a.m. that
right.
morning and 10 p.m.
That's a long
that
time.
night, which they had told me that once you get to near the 24-hour mark of your water breaking, you risk infection and all of these things that put the baby at risk. And so they were like, well, the closer we get to 24 hours, we're going to have to induce you.
Right.
And if anyone knows anything about being induced, it increases your contractions and makes everything a lot more painful. But it also moves things along faster.
Right.
My plan was also not to get induced.
Right.
Another plan that really went out the window. And at that point too, I wasn't very dilated. And so I would have to be induced. And so at that point, I was like, okay, we'll do the epidural. I'll get induced and like, we'll do this thing.
Well, and from my perspective, I felt like I was just watching everything and couldn't do anything. It was, obviously I've given birth 3 times, so I know what that experience is like. And I had an epidural for all of my births. And I thought it was like, wow, okay, Erin's going to go natural. That's great. And I, was okay, cheering you on every step of the way. Every single thing that you guys chose to do, I was just cheering you on. And then I was so thankful that you did have the doula and, your gynecologist to help deliver you, Erin.
Yeah.
So you have
she came and visited us.
Yes.
Yeah,
the same OBGYN that delivered you guys.
Yeah.
So everything, as you said, was just moving so smoothly and so beautifully. And you were an absolutely beautiful pregnant mom. I mean, it was just watching you go through all of that, those 9 months, and Parker coming alongside you was just so beautiful to watch from my perspective. And obviously you're my daughter. So I was like, hypersensitive and aware and watching everything. And then being in the room, like when you said I could be there until delivery, I don't think I knew what I was getting myself into. That was so beautiful and so hard. It was really, really, really hard for me to see you in pain like that.
Yeah.
Before you got the epidural. Holding your birth comb or whatever that thing is.
That's like a tip. If you are going to try to do all natural, or even if you do end up getting an epidural, the birth comb, I think this is like a new thing that
never
people,
heard of that.
I saw it on TikTok. So,
Of course.
And
Men, it'll save your hand. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Let your wife get a birth comb.
It will save your hand. It's like counter pressure or counter pain or something. I don't know, but birth comb, it really did help for sure. And I held on to it for however long we were in there. It was a very long time.
And you had your bag packed, everything. You had this huge suitcase.
Had a suitcase.
A bag, a duffel. You had all this stuff planned.
It's funny because I shared on social media my bag packed for the hospital. And there were people that are like, you're packing way too much. You don't need all of that. And interestingly enough, come to find out because of everything that happened, it was actually not even near enough.
That's right.
Not what I needed. But it was good for the extended period of time that I needed. So, you know what? It's not a bad thing to overpack.
Right.
I am an overpacker, and I'm never going to not be an overpacker, so it's fine.
Parker, how did you feel when Erin was going through birth and all of the things? It's your first experience, obviously, with this, and it's intense in the pain that she was in, and then finally getting the epidural. Like, what was going through your mind, and how did you feel in the midst of all that?
Well, I will second what you said. She was a gorgeous pregnant mom. So
thanks,
that was, and it was amazing just to watch you in the midst of your pregnancy journey. And I think we talked about this maybe on another podcast while you were pregnant, but it was a very healing experience for you. I witnessed that. I think you could spend a whole podcast talking about that, but it was just incredible. And then leading up to the birth, I wanted to just preface this about what we were speaking about, like a plan. We were prepared. We went to, it was like 3 or 4 birthing classes just to learn about everything. Like in life, you don't know what you don't know. And
right. That's right.
We knew like there was so much that we learned just about the process, decisions that can happen, choices. I mean, they even like pointed out potential emergencies that can happen just so you're not like shocked if something like that happens. And they sort of talked about like, next steps after that. So we were I don't want to say very prepared, but we learned a lot. And I think we even said like, even after going to those classes, we were like, thank God we have a doula. Like just to help us navigate all of those potential decisions that could come up in the midst
as they're happening.
Well, yeah, in the midst of
she's
these,
like your advocate.
These moments.
Pretty much.
Like she was our go-to to help. She knew like our plan, and we had talked about like, this is our plan, but we need to be flexible. I think we're like very realistic with our plan. Like, yes, Erin would love for this to go this way, but we also need to do what's best for Erin in the moment, what's best for the baby in the moment. I mean, I think we did that. Like we didn't want we talked about like not having this, such strict expectation of how it goes that like it goes the other way and the experience is not good. I think we were real with ourselves in those terms, which obviously for us was very helpful because things went very
Didn't go,
differently
right.
in the midst of certain decisions, and then obviously, after Beau was born, and we'll get into that. But I think I've told people because they've asked me like what it was like. Did you watch? And I was like, and I told Erin, I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna watch. Like this is like to me one of the greatest miracles that there is in this life, and
That's right.
the greatest gift from God, like new life. And we'll talk about this later on, but like we talked with so many doctors in the midst of Beau's journey, and they just even echoed, they're like, it's incredible that any child is born with a perfect heart, perfect function. And that's just the heart. Like there's millions
You're right.
of
Of
order.
your brain,
Like a healthy baby is born millions of order, things that work in the correct order to allow that baby to be healthy. And so that was just even a reminder, like the gift of new life and just how precious that is. So to be there for that moment, and I wanted to see this, our son, new life, enter into this world. It was incredible. I think it was probably one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had.
Sacred. Sacred.
Absolutely. Up until like things started to go south, I guess we'll say, when they started to notice, some slight issues with Beau. But it was incredible. It's tough to like put words to it, but it was an amazing experience. Erin was absolutely incredible.
She was. She was unbelievable.
So amazing.
I kept going behind the curtain. There's the little partition, that curtain you could go behind where the sink was. I just kept going behind there and crying.
Yeah, she didn't want Erin to see her cry.
I didn't want you to see me crying, but I was just bawling.
Well, we felt hopeless because she was in so much pain.
So much pain.
The epidural, I mean, she was a rock star when it came to the contractions, but there was moments where she was so tense going through these contractions, and it was really tough to watch. And we were all so thankful when, I know Erin made this decision, but we made the decision as a team.
God.
Yeah, we talked it through with the nurses, and we had one nurse who was there for the delivery who was incredible. Like
she was incredible.
She was a godsend along with our doula, but it was we were so thankful Erin made the decision. When we walked back in the room after she had gotten the epidural, she was a new woman.
And that's when I went out to the car because it was so late. I went out and got in the back of the truck just to lay down, for a minute. And the doula did too. We both went out to our cars. And
because at that point, I was still only like 4 centimeters dilated. And so you have to wait till you get to 10 so you can push. And
so we were thinking there's hours left. So we'll go sleep in the car or something.
I think you just got settled in the car when I called.
Just got settled in the car. I just put my head down in the backseat. Boom. We're back in the hospital. Yeah. And it was happening.
Yeah. Because after the epidural, after getting induced, it all happened so really quickly. And it was funny because when my water broke at 2 a.m. on July 7th, I'm like, this baby's being born today.
Right.
7/7. How fun. 7/7. And Parker's like, I have a feeling he's going to be born tomorrow. And I'm like, Parker, there's no possible way this baby's not being born today. Right? And, I had said this to the nurses and everything. And here I am. And I'm looking at the clock. And I looked to the nurse. I was like, it's not happening today, is it? She's like, no, I'm sorry.
You were only 18 minutes off. 19 minutes off.
Yep. I started pushing at, I don't even know. It was a little after midnight.
Yeah. I mean, it was like 11:45. Around that time when the nurse was like, all right, let's do another check. I think they checked 3 or 4 times from the course of like when we got there at 9 a.m. until 11:45. And there really wasn't like a ton of progress.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some small progress, but nothing that was like, okay, it's about to happen. So after the epidural, and they were confident that the epidural would allow your body to calm down.
Yeah.
And they thought that it would speed up the labor process, which it did. So I think it was like 11:45, and he's like, yep, let's get a check. She's like, yeah, I feel his head. We're like, what? Like, yeah, his head is right here. Like, all right, we're gonna call the doctor. They said she was in with another patient or doing something.
She was finishing up a C-section.
Okay, finishing up a C-section. So like it might be 30 minutes, we don't know. And the doctor came in and we were like, all right, it's go time. And Erin's like, he's not going to be born before midnight because it was like 11:45, 11:50 at this point. She was, trying to be right. And she was
Trying to
not.
control even when he was the time.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
12:18 a.m.
Yep,
the
12:18
following day.
a.m. I
But it
pushed
was
for like
10 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
They were all shocked. They were like, he's a rock star.
And at this point in time, I called your dad and he couldn't stay home. So he came. So we were out in the little waiting room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because after I came back in from my car,
Mm-hmm.
I sat out in the waiting room. Then your dad came. And then, obviously I'm sitting in this waiting room. It's late. No one's there but me. And then your dad comes and I'm just praying and I'm crying and I'm praying and I'm waiting for the text from your doula,
Yeah.
And it did seem like so much time had gone by, but it really didn't.
Right.
And then I got the text and she said, Mama and baby are doing great.
Mm.
Yeah. And then we waited for a little bit for someone to come and get us. And then one of the nurses came and got us and brought us back into your room. And that was, you mean, I know you guys are going to take over from here, but it was just because I was walking in there thinking that Mama and baby were great and that everything was fine. So, of course, I was bawling. And your dad was worked up too. We were just so in awe and so thankful. And wow. Yeah. And then just everything changed.
Yeah.
Quickly.
So Beau was born and, they immediately put the baby on your chest. And I had gone into, actually, while I was pushing, I was thinking in my mind, like, I'm going to hear us cry right away. And knowing that hearing a baby cry is really important when they're born. And so I didn't hear his cry. And immediately I started to like panic and pray in my mind. And they said to Parker, quick, like, Dad, do you want to cut the cord? And we had planned to do delayed cord clamping and
another plan didn't go as planned.
And I knew then, because they were made aware of this, I knew then that like, okay, something has to be wrong because like that wasn't part of our plan. And so he cut the cord. They took Beau over to where they have the little light to like warm him
table.
up.
And this was over the course of like 10 seconds. Like it felt long, but I mean, I literally think they placed him on your chest. They told me to cut the cord, and I was like, I had this thought, like, I was confused why they were asking me to cut the cord so quick, because in my mind, like, it was going to be a minute or two. And so, was he on your chest longer than 5 seconds?
I don't even know how.
Yeah,
it was
I think it was
short.
very quick. And then they took him over to the table, and then we heard him cry. Like, he gasped and cried, and we were like, oh, thank God.
When they took him from me, they're like, we're just going to take baby over there really quick, and made me not worry and feel calm. And then you can share. Oh, you can cry. Okay.
That's so hard.
We haven't talked about this.
I know.
Since it happened.
It's so hard. And I think I know it's okay to feel the way we all feel and to share it because.
Well, I know we've talked about that. Like, there's a lot to unpack here because we were thrown into it. And like, I guess this is us sort of unpacking, talking about it again. So this is like the first time we're talking about this since it happened. I mean, we haven't talked about this in like a month or a month and a half. So yeah, a lot of emotions, just sort of reliving it. And I think that's what said it would be good for us to talk through this and unpack this, whether it be with a counselor or on the podcast. So here we are unpacking it. So
I'll be the counselor.
That's the that's the emotions, because it was just like our whole world just stopped. So when they brought him over, they're like, Dad, you want to come see him? And I'm like, oh, absolutely. Like, because it all happened so quick.
Yeah.
I felt like we didn't even get to like see him. Like they placed him on her chest. I cut the cord. I was confused why I cut the cord so quick. In my mind, I didn't think, I didn't hear him cry yet. I think I was just so focused on watching him coming out and was still like just in shock and awe at watching him being delivered. And it was just incredible. So they were like, do you want to come over and see him? And I was like, absolutely. So I went over there and got to see my boy for the first time, which was incredible. And I think at that point, I think they had like a little oxygen mask over his face. They weren't sure like if it was just the transition, like they said, because he was born so quick, because like you push so quickly. It was an extreme transition from being inside his mom to the real world. But they said, his sats were a little low and that they heard a heart murmur. And I felt like that was like a bit of a like PTSD
Mhm.
moment for me because of what my nephew Hayes went through. And we've talked about Hayes, and he was born with congenital heart disease defect, and he passed away at 16 months. So when they just mentioned heart, I literally almost passed out. I had to go sit down and put my head between my legs, and they brought me little sippy cups. And Erin's looking over after she just went through one of the toughest things, and here I am drinking a little apple juice sippy cup. I'm like, what
They
in the
came
world?
over and they're like, he just felt a little lightheaded, so we're just gonna sit him down. I'm like,
But
okay.
it was the weirdest thing. Like I was fine, like watching everything, and it was when they mentioned heart murmur, like my body just like I went white, like I just felt like I went blank, and I felt like I was gonna pass out. And I think it was just my body's response, and just like it was a very shocking thing. And so then I went back over and talked to them, and like I just explained to them, like they didn't know the history with Hayes, and I just told them, and they were just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and they're like, "Yeah, we're not really sure what's going on." Like babies are born, like 25% of babies, I guess, are born with holes in their heart, and some of them, like adults, may have it, and they never even know.
Right.
And like it might be that, and you hear a heart murmur from that, but they're like, this sounds like a little bit more. So they weren't jumping to any conclusions, but they were like, his oxygen levels were like in the 80s. They're supposed to be like 95 and above, and they heard the heart murmur, so they just gave him oxygen, and then we got, I think, like an hour of skin to skin
Which I don't
time with
even
him.
I like vaguely remember that. I mean, I remember the skin to skin. I remember when you guys came in, but the time of it, there's like a blank there, I feel like.
Mhm.
I
Well, we look
remember
back at
holding him.
pictures.
I remember being
Yeah.
like, he's the most perfect thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But the moment of holding him like skin to skin felt so short. And
Well, it
maybe
was.
because everything after that shifted and everything changed. And they said to me, we're gonna have him do skin to skin, but then we need to just check some things out further. And so I remember holding him and praying and just being like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
I have no idea what's gonna happen. And
I think that was such a whirlwind too. I didn't know or understand what was going on either because of the text. That's all I was basing everything on. I
When I
didn't.
came and met you guys,
Yeah.
and at that point, I knew the heart murmur and the low
Yeah,
sats.
well, where were we?
You
I
guys were
don't
like at the
even.
elevator, and I came and got you guys,
Okay.
and like I was bawling, and so like I told you guys that. Like obviously, none of us thought
Anything
like
would be wrong.
anything serious,
Right.
but unfortunately, like it went from one of the most incredible pregnancies, labor, was supposed to be like the most joyful moment, to like a
the
very, very
scariest.
scary. We don't know. Like they had his sats, and we were watching his sats while we were doing skin to skin, because they wanted to monitor him. They wanted to give us that time, which we're very thankful for, but they also wanted to watch his sats closely, because like if they dipped too low, then it would have been more of like an emergency situation. So, like I said earlier, like we're unpacking this, and I'm thinking through like what we went through as I'm speaking. So I'm sort of unpacking it and reliving, those emotions again. So it's unfortunate. I wish for us that obviously that didn't happen, and we got to experience that true joy in that moment. And it was definitely tarnished because of the low saturations and the heart murmur, because we really had no clue what was next. And then they told us they need to take them from us.
I don't really remember what happened after that. Do you?
I remember being with you and Parker, you were with Beau.
Yeah.
Because I remember I
And then I
told him, I
remember
was like, "You're
coming
not
to where
leaving him."
you were. And again, this is, what, 1 in the morning,
We're
no
going on
sleep.
like 24
We're
hours of being awake.
all like what is happening? It was so overwhelming and so scary and so middle of the morning.
Yeah.
You know, what is happening? What are they doing to Beau? I remember walking into that room where he had oxygen on, and they must have given him a line at that point in time to give him medication because I remember I feel like I saw lines, but people were on the phone, and there was, like, so many people in that little room. Do you remember what I'm talking about? And I felt bad leaving you, Erin, because, like, you had no idea what was going on. There was just a lot of things happening all at once, and I wouldn't say it was all confusing, but to us, it was all very confusing
Mhm.
and chaotic, and what is wrong, and what's happening, and I honestly, I don't even remember why did I go home? Like, I went home, and then we called grandma, and
Yeah.
then daddy went I mean, it was just but I remember because when you said this PTSD moment, I mean, I experienced that when I got the call that he was going from Millard Fillmore Hospital to Children's Hospital.
Mhm.
My body literally started shaking uncontrollably, and I couldn't stop it. I had never experienced that before. I mean, I was just overcome with fear, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I was just I couldn't stop shaking, and I couldn't believe it,
Yeah.
and you experiencing that, it's like your whole body takes over this
Mhm.
your emotions and your body and the fear and all of those things, and it's scary.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a lot. It's interesting, like, I don't really
Mhm.
even remember, why did I leave the hospital? I don't remember driving home, and I don't remember where you went, Parker.
I just stayed with Beau, and they were doing all these tests to sort of figure out what the next steps were. He was on oxygen. They did one test that sort of was an indicator of
Something
what the
wrong. I
issue
remember
was. Yeah,
yeah, I
so
remember being there for that.
Aaron had got taken to a different room,
Right.
and then I was with Beau. They were doing all these tests. I went back to be with you, and we were just gonna get some sleep. And so you were like in the bed, and I was on the couch. And then two of the doctors came in, and they,
One of them was the one who heard the heart. She had
yeah,
come
well,
in.
let's definitely touch on that because that was like a God moment
Mhm.
in the midst of this. And based off the blood work that they did, because he was on 100% oxygen, they expected I forget all the numbers, but they expected this particular test to show a certain number, and it was well below their expectations. So they said that we believe he has a congenital heart defect, and that was just another terrible moment for that, like, confirmation, because that was our concern at that point, that there was something
More
more
serious.
serious going on,
Mhm.
and this just wasn't a regular heartbeat or something like that.
And it was then that they told us that, well, they wanted to take him to Children's to basically verify that that's what was happening. They wanted to do an
Mhm.
echo at Children's, and they couldn't get someone to Millard Fillmore to do the echo until the morning, and they knew that they
Mm-mm.
couldn't wait till the morning, so they ended up taking him to Children's, but then they told us that he would have to be in Rochester because no one at Children's does heart stuff. They don't have a pediatric cardiac unit at Children's where they could do
What he
the
needed.
extra things that he
Right,
needed to be
right.
done. So, all I just remember being like, "Parker, you just have to be with Beau. You just have to be with him. Like, I'm okay, just don't leave him." And so you went to Children's so that you could be with Beau, and I stayed
Well,
at Mill
because you were a patient,
Yeah,
so
I was a
Well, yeah,
patient.
you
and
had
you
just given,
just gave birth, like, there's a
Yeah,
window of time you can't
which
right.
just
and then
complicated
But they
everything.
it
basically,
was
like
Well,
they
took forever.
essentially transferred me to Children's, I think, as soon as
eh,
they felt like
by
they
ambulance and
could.
daddy followed.
Mhm.
But it took
Yes.
probably, because I went to O'Shai, I was there with Grammy, or Gigi Ma, Jill's mother, and you were still at,
She was at Millard
yeah,
Fillmore
I was at,
Hospital,
there's a 3 hospital day, so it's
right,
still,
3
as we're
hospitals in
speaking, we're, like,
24
reliving this
hours.
and trying to rehash the facts. So, yeah, they took Beau by ambulance to O'Shai, and I
Followed.
followed, and Aaron stayed back, and then that's at O'Shai is when they did the echo. And so I was with Grammy when the doctor came to give us the diagnosis, and you were still at Millard Fillmore. So this was also terrible. Like, we learned of Beau's diagnosis not together. I FaceTimed the doctor because the doctor wanted to like draw the heart and sort of explain to us what was going on, which I was very thankful for, because like if she just said a diagnosis, we'd be like, what's that mean?
Right.
And leading up to that point, my mind obviously went to the worst place possible.
Right.
Like, because of my experience with my sister's son, Hayes, I mean, I knew what he went through and what they went through, and was just in shock that we were potentially living that same path. And my mind went to the worst case scenario.
All of us.
Yeah,
I mean, we've all experienced, you've experienced that. I've experienced, Erin, you, Hunter, all that we've experienced. I mean, we do have, my mind goes to worst case scenario. And I try to work through that all the time. It doesn't even matter what it is. If we get a phone call, it's something that once you've experienced such deep trauma, it's hard.
Yeah.
And
really hard.
You're sitting there and you have no idea what the doctor's going to say. I mean, no heart diagnosis is good, but you're literally bracing for the worst. Like, we did not know the severity of it and what was wrong. And so they said it was pulmonary atresia. So essentially, his pulmonary valve was fused shut. So a little anatomy lesson here for y'all. I got my honorary degree.
Yes, one of the doctors at Strong Golisano Hospital in Rochester gave Parker an honorary.
That'll go on my office wall. So the blood comes into the heart from the body on the right side, flows to the right ventricle, and then it goes through the pulmonary artery to the lungs, gets oxygenated to the left side of the heart, out to the body, and that process repeats. So the blood that was coming into Beau's heart could not get through his pulmonary valve to his lungs to get oxygenated because it was closed. It was fused shut. So that blood was essentially, recirculating, and he has a little, they call it a PFO or ASD, I believe, a little hole in the top of his heart that the blood would then, go through and mix with the blood from the left side of the heart. So that was the diagnosis.
Causing his oxygen levels to be
low. So she drew us a nice diagram and explained it to us, but still in that moment, you're like,
well, you're in shock.
You're like, well, is this fixable?
Right.
Like, what's like, there's just so many questions in that moment. And we're learning of this apart. Erin, like I said, was at Suburban. I was shy. I was FaceTiming her, and the doctor shares all that. And then you're just like, okay, bye, Erin. And you're just like, what the heck did we just what is going on? And it's just a very, like, that whole day was just.
Well, you don't think it's real.
No, you're just extreme shock.
You're just like literally in shock, and you're walking through that and you're stunned.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think you have the capacity to really wrap your mind or heart around it.
No.
And you're just, how is this happening? How is this happening?
Yeah. I just remember I felt like, because I was by myself at Millard Fillmore, and
it was so hard for me to, I'm like, Erin's by herself. Someone has to go be with Erin. And then I didn't know whether to go to Children's because that's where Beau was.
Right.
But you're by yourself. Why not even go home? I mean, it was so awful.
I feel like I think everything was just so, it was like a blur.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I was so in shock by everything and like didn't feel like it was real, that I was just, and plus I had
you just gave birth,
gone through labor for how long, and I was extremely exhausted, and I had two amazing friends that text me and they're like, can we come to the hospital and sit with you? And I'm like, thank you, I love you, but I can't.
Right.
And honestly, I was so exhausted and so tired that I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And
plus you didn't stay there, because then they brought you to.
Right. So there was this moment where I was like, they could come and get me now. I don't know what's going to happen. But another doctor came, and she had heard about Beau and what was happening, and she came and sat down with me, and she just was like, I want you to know, if I like want to know if you want me to explain to you what's going on. And it was so kind of her because she didn't
Right.
have to do that. She wasn't Beau's doctor. She wasn't my doctor. She just came and she sat with me and she tried to explain what was going on with Beau because I wasn't there.
Right.
And so it was just, and then, Dad came and we followed to Children's. And then later that day, they took him to Golisano. And
Well, that really,
was
you were not
just-
at Children's very long. That happened
No.
quickly.
well, and they transferred me as a patient to Children's. So I became a patient at Children's. And I remember they brought me to my room. I was like, can you take me to the NICU? Like, you need to take me to my son.
Right.
And so they did. And I don't know who the doctors were, but they were amazing. And I was like, I'm not staying here.
No.
I need to leave. My son's not staying here, so I'm not staying here. And I was in a good enough place where they were like, okay, you're good to go. And so they took him to Golisano, and Parker and I.
I don't even know what time that was. It's all a blur. But it was quick at O'Shea because, like you said earlier, Golisano. Well, one, they wanted him to be there in case there was an emergency.
Right.
Mhm.
But that's where any children in this area who need a heart procedure, whether it be like a cath procedure or surgery, go to Golisano. So that's why he was there. But at that point, we were just like, yeah, take him where you need to take him, where has the best care possible in this moment, and we'll figure everything else out as we get there. I will say, I know we're sort of all over the place, but backing up, we talked about the nurse or doctor who was there at your delivery. There was a ton of people in the room.
And she wasn't supposed to be there.
She wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
So she was there because Erin was approaching the 24-hour mark post water breaking, which is when I guess there's increased chances for infection. I don't really know what her role was and why she was specifically there, but she was the one who heard the heart murmur and all the low sats.
Right.
And she acted immediately and gave him a medication called prostaglandin, which keeps a valve open in the heart to deliver extra blood flow, which then increases, more oxygenated blood to the body. So every child
we kind of have a love-hate relationship with prostaglandin.
Yeah. Every child is born with that valve. It closes a few days after birth. They gave him this medication to keep this valve or duct open because Beau, like we had said, couldn't get blood through his pulmonary artery. So this little duct they kept open was literally
saved his life.
I mean, it saved his life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the fact that they got him the medication so soon, everything, because it happened so soon, it saved his life.
We started a little notebook, and the title of our little notebook, I have it in my hand right here, is A Million Little Miracles. Praise the Lord. And that was the first one, is that doctor that we wrote in here, that though she wasn't supposed to be there, she was there. And had she not recognized what was happening, because if she was not there, it probably would have been not overlooked, but it wouldn't.
They said it would have been delayed. She had said they may not have done the testing she did until a little bit later on in the day, which the fact that they caught it so quickly and administered the medication so quickly, never allowed the duct to even start closing. So, I mean, we talked to multiple doctors at Golisano, and they were like, that was great that she acted so quick. And I don't even remember her name, unfortunately.
I know, I don't either.
We had some great conversations, and she even had said to me, she's like, a blessing in disguise that she was there.
Right. Well, and thank God that my labor and everything was so long. Thank God that it was nearing the 24-hour mark,
because she wouldn't have been
she was there. And so me waiting to get the epidural and all of those things ended up being a blessing.
Which is so, I feel like there's a lot of that in this journey, is that you had a plan and God's plan was totally different. And even though you had prayed, and I know we'll get to that. And I just want to say to the listener, this is a part 2. We're going to have a part 2 to this episode because it is lengthy, but we want to go heavy in on what God showed us and what God taught us in the midst of all of this. So that is a part 2. That'll be our part 2 to this. But, the remainder of this, we wanted to share the journey and what happened. We will get to the Million Little Miracle book, which is amazing. But it was really, really, really hard. And we were really, really mad at God. And there was a lot that we all went through. and we all experienced, and we all did it together.
Yeah.
We were together as a family. But I know from my perspective, having gone through, and of course, I'm probably going to cry, having gone through everything with Hunter, just the thought of anything being wrong at all with Beau was a shock. But then to know that it was so serious, and just we all had to come to grips with that reality. And that was just, it's still hard.
Yeah.
And he's doing great, but it's still hard.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that I wrestled with the most is after my dad passed, which was July of last year, so a year and some months now, my sister found out that she was pregnant with a boy. We found out we were pregnant with a boy. And I really just felt this peace
Yes.
from God. And I still haven't fully unpacked this and fully understood what it means or anything like that. But I just felt this peace that our boys were
Yep.
going to be good.
Yep.
I just
We
felt
all
like it
felt
was
that, Parker.
Yeah.
a gift
We all
from
did.
a gift from Dad, a gift from God, the timing of it all. And Beau's amazing and great.
Right.
But I really wrestle with that with God and still have questions like what exactly, I do believe that God gave me a peace. Maybe I misinterpreted it in that moment. I don't really know. I don't know what to fully make of that, but it was all a shock for all of us and for what we've all been through with Hunter, with Hayes,
With your dad.
with my dad. I mean, so it was a lot to unpack, and we were up for 40 hours from when we got there. And I want to thank my few friends I talked to, my family, for my uncontrollable crying, because I think it was just an angry cry, and a shocked cry, and just confusion and questions, and it was really
sad. I feel
yeah.
like we were all, I know I was so shocked, obviously, and all the things you already said, but just so sad. And I know
Yeah.
we're going to talk about this in part 2, but yeah, I went through being angry at God too, but just sad at God. Really?
Yeah.
Really? Just what are you doing? Just all those things. But anyway, back to
before we move on, I just want to say you mentioned your friends, Parker, and I just want to give a special thank you to Josh Barrick, your friend who literally flew out. He doesn't live here. Literally flew here that night. He's met
amazing.
us at
At
Golisano, and he was like, all I'm going to do, I'm just going to wait in the waiting room and just pray. And it's exactly what he did. He sat in the waiting room and he prayed all night long. And it's friends like that, it rocked me and shocked me. And I was like, what you flew here today? And just, I want to thank him because it meant the world to us. And we have so many incredible friends who rallied around us, people that text us every day and just prayed for us nonstop and sent us DoorDash gift cards, and just few friends who made meals for us. And just, if you're listening and you're one of those people, you know who you are, and we love you, and we're so thankful. And we could not have gone through this without you. We needed our community, and Mom having just our families there, whether they were physically there or not. We knew that we had our family surrounding us. Parker, your family wasn't able to be there the whole time, but they're fighting for us apart from us. I'm just so thankful for the people. And we've known this throughout everything we've gone through, that we need community.
right.
We need people.
That's
We've
right.
talked about that a million times on the podcast, but we realized even more in what we went through, how much we need people and we need each other, and that we're not meant to do life alone, let alone the hard, heartbreaking things of life alone. I'm just so thankful for all of our people, and the new people that God brought into our life while we were at the hospital, the nurses and the staff and the doctors and just everyone. I mean, God blessed us in so many ways and showed up in so many ways. And yeah, maybe the part 2 can be a faith-based conversation.
I think we'll talk all about that, and then the blessings and
Yeah.
what God did show us, and how he did show up, because obviously he was present throughout the entire thing.
Mhm.
He knew beforehand exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
and all of the details, but just how he showed himself to be very present in everything, because we really needed that. We were desperate. I know I was just desperate. And I was just hoping just to see the hand of God move, even though I knew he was there and knew he was in the midst of it. I just need to see it. I need to see real evidence. I need to see it.
Right.
And so let's end this, but talk a little bit more about the journey. So you guys get to Golisano Hospital. We all go, and just like unpack some of that, and how, Parker, you became a med student pretty much while you were there. And just, I was so, by the way, I know I've said this to you, Parker, but so, I don't even like to use the word impressed. It's more than that. I was so in awe of your ability to dive in to the whole situation, find out as much as you can, ask all the questions. I've never, ever, ever seen anyone ask as many questions as you. And to a point where I was like, okay, that's enough. But, no, just like ask the questions, be very, very present, and continue to dig deeper with these doctors and talk to them and build relationships with them. And all this while Erin, like, she can't do that. In the midst of all that, she couldn't do all that. She didn't even have the bandwidth she had to take care of herself in the midst of taking care of Beau. I mean, there was just so much going on. You hear you're postpartum and you're trying to recover, and then you end up having to get checked a couple times while we're there. And it's just going to triage twice. It just, there was so much going on. So you held on to being a dad, and you dove into that, into a space where you didn't want to be. Diving in as a dad to a child who has a heart condition, none of us were prepared for that. We didn't know anything about heart. We know about coronary disease because of Hunter. We know about cancer. We know about mental health, but now we know about heart disease.
Right.
It's just, anyway. So I just want to say I was really proud of you, Parker. Even though you and I butt heads, because we're in a hospital room that's really small. All of us, all the time,
all of us.
It was hard. And I don't know how we did it other than the grace of God.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. And I think anyone who knows me well knows I ask a ton of questions. To me, that's my way of learning.
Right.
Like, even back to middle school and high school, people always talk to me and would point out how many questions I ask. My friends now joke with me. We joke that I always ask why. And Erin, I think I always ask her, well, why do you feel this way? Tell me. That's just who I am. And when it's your son, that's a whole nother level. There was just, I wanted to know everything. I think mainly too, because I wanted to, obviously I'm not a doctor, but I wanted to know as much as possible so I could maybe understand the decisions that were being made and be able to be the best advocate for Beau. Because if I didn't learn these things and had no idea what was going on, I couldn't be a good advocate for him.
Well, and that's what I was so impressed with. Everybody deals with something like this very differently.
Yeah.
And sometimes people deal with it the total opposite of how you dealt with it. You became an immediate advocate for him, for your son. And I was just in awe of that. And Erin, you too, you're both amazing parents. And you were not thrown into, that sounds so worldly, because you weren't. I believe God placed you in this situation. I believe he handpicked you to be Beau's mom and dad, and vice versa. We'll get to all of that in part 2, but just if you guys can share more of kind of what happened at the hospital, how we started to settle in there, which sounds crazy. I mean, even my mom bought this huge storage thing that we end up putting in the bathroom, which became kind of like a closet. I mean, it's incredible how guys adapt, how we adapt to that scenario, and as awful as it was, and no sleep and taking turns and just everything, all the details. If you can just kind of sum that all up. And again, if you can share too the procedure, because eventually Beau did have a procedure done. And if you can kind of dive into that a little bit.
I'll kick it off. I just want to echo what you said, Erin, about Josh. He was there when we literally pulled up to Golisano.
Amazing.
He had texted me and asked me my thoughts about coming in the midst of that day. And it was just a hectic day, and I hadn't even texted him back. And he's like, yeah, I'm on a plane. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
And so he just came. I've talked a lot with him about the gifts that God blesses us with, like what our identity is in Christ. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Josh is a frontline friend.
Oh, I
Like,
love that. A
as
frontline friend. Oh my
I
gosh, I love
believe
that
I
so much.
believe that is
I want to be
Josh.
a frontline friend.
And
Me
he just
too.
showed up
Wow.
and he's like, I'm just here to pray for you guys. And they just had a baby boy, Noah, who's 6 months old. So he's a new dad. So he's mourning. I don't know if that's the right word, but like
For you
mourning for
guys,
us. Like he's
yes.
sad because like he has a baby boy. He just showed up and was there to pray with us, and he stayed in the waiting room. He's like, don't worry about me. Like I'm here. Like when you guys need me, like I'll come in and pray. And so we love you, Josh and Brooke and Noah.
Yes, thank you.
And
Unbelievable.
yeah,
Wow.
it was just so.
We were all shocked by
Yeah, it was
that.
just incredible.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
a frontline friend.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And God has blessed me with incredible friends. And
He
I'm
has.
just so thankful for each and every one of them and the conversations that we had, and for them to just sit there and let me vent to them throughout the midst of this, and for all the prayers. As Erin said, like we believe prayers carried us when we couldn't pray anymore. And we'll
That's right.
touch on that, I'm sure, in episode 2. So the first week was sort of a holding pattern for us and Beau, just to figure out what the next steps were. They were monitoring him, and he was hooked up just so they could monitor his sats. He was on the prostaglandin, so to keep that duct open in his heart to allow blood flow, oxygenated blood to get to his body. And on the table really was open heart surgery or a heart catheterization, in which they would go up through his groin. We obviously were praying for a heart catheterization. We were also
Praying for a
on
miracle.
our hands and knees praying for a miracle. Like
Mm.
we pray that the doctors do their tests and scans and imaging and even just everything, that he won't even need anything, that he'll just be healed. And that was a consistent prayer of ours every single day. And eventually, I think it was, I don't even know what day this was, but they told us that based off of his heart anatomy and what they think is going on, that the heart cath was the best option for him, which was an answer to our prayers. Both open heart or heart cath could have fixed the problem, but I guess just depending on the heart anatomy, they thought the cath was the better route for him, and it's less invasive. So they were all for that, and we were very thankful that that was the route. And we, at that point, started pray that when they go in there to get imaging and shoot the dye in his heart, so they could really like see what was going on once they get in there, that it'd be healed and they'd have no explanation, no medical explanation, and that it would only be Jesus. That could be the only possible, Jesus's miraculous healing in that moment.
I think that was something that I'm just going to be very raw. We really wanted that to be what happened. We really, really wanted an outright miracle. We wanted all the things you just said. Like we all were praying for that. I felt like I really believed it too.
Mm-hmm.
And not that my belief determines a miracle. It doesn't. God chooses to do a miracle. I pray and we come to him, and that's where our relationship with God is. But there was a lot of disappointment there. I felt like we had our hopes up and then we crashed. And then we had hope.
It was like
and
the,
it was
the
crashed.
balloon got popped, I think.
Over and over
We were
again.
thankful.
And yet we were thankful, right?
Yeah.
Like we were so thankful that he only had to get the cath procedure.
Which is still, I mean, we had a conversation with the amazing doctor who did his procedure, and it wasn't without risk.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a very risky, scary procedure. And when he explained to us how he did it, I was like, how in the world can you do that?
I know.
When we saw a video, he's doing the procedure via X-ray. So he's looking at
Unbelievable.
a screen with the X-ray so he can see the
all of the anatomy.
Yeah.
All of,
I'm drawing a blank.
all of
Like the
his
actual
anatomy. Oh,
cath, I
the
guess, yeah. So he could see the
Yeah.
cath.
going in.
Yeah, so we saw a video of the cath in the heart and everything he did. Essentially what they had to do was they had to poke through the pulmonary valve, because again the valve was fused shut.
As his heart's
it's
beating.
beating.
Yeah, as his heart's
Right.
beating. So like you in the X-ray video, you see the heart beating. So they poked through that valve, and then they put the cath through, and there's like a balloon on the cath that they then expanded the balloon to stretch out and open up the valve. In the video, you can see the balloon opening, And they do it a few times to make sure that that whole area of the valve was stretched completely.
And
so
Beau is days old.
They're
I
doing
think it was
this
on his 7th day, maybe.
Yeah, I think he was like exactly a week old.
They're doing this on a infant's heart that's only 7 days old. I mean, in and of itself, that is a miracle, I think. I mean, I do think that God has given us everything we need for life and godliness. And it's like, whoa, that we have the capability to do that on earth.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, and just that, I mean, that day, I remember the night before because we stayed with Beau every night, and Mom, every third night you'd come and you'd stay with him, which we are so thankful for. And it was a lifesaver. It really was. So thank you.
Well, I still do it. There. So obviously I love it.
We have an amazing team.
Yeah. But honestly, the night before his cath, he was in my arms the entire night. Like I held him the entire night because in my mind, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like I have no idea.
Well, and I remember being in the room when Dr. Leonard was sharing all of the things that can go wrong, which I hate that you have to hear that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they have to do that. Like they have to tell you all the risks. They have to lay it out there, and then you have to sign the paperwork. And I remember being in the room when he was saying all those things and just thinking, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so I can understand and appreciate, feel when you say, like, I just held him because, and I remember, Erin, and I hope I won't cry by saying this, you wanted everybody to hold Beau before his procedure, everyone to get to hold him. And I don't know if you did that because you thought maybe something had happened to him.
Yeah.
But we all got a chance to like hold him before he got his cath procedure.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing was when they took him.
Oh,
yeah. That
was
awful.
Like that, in that moment, it's just a culmination of every fear and worry that you've had in the last week, from birth, the diagnosis, to being in the hospital. The doctors were confident that they could fix the problem. But like you said, I mean, there's risks. And our doctor, said this is one of the tougher procedures that he does. So he's just the cath doc. So I'm not speaking on any open heart surgical procedures. Those are two separate doctors. But the cath doc said this is one of, like, although on paper it seemed very simple. They're just going to the valve, popping it open, stretching the valve open to allow the blood flow. He said it's just an extremely challenging procedure just because of the nature of where he's working. And, he just,
like any tiny move, either way, you can pop a hole in his heart.
He has to be perfect. And
Yeah.
we're so thankful for him, and he's amazing. Yeah, when they took Beau, that was really hard because you just are like, are we gonna see our boy again? And that's like a terrible, it's just terrible. Yeah. There's no better way to say it than it's just a terrible, just the worst feeling. And
I remember praying that whole day too. All of us just praying and praying nonstop. And we had worship playing. I don't know when we started worship. Maybe it was that day, but worship was played in Beau's room 24/7.
Yeah.
It was never off. And I remember a few times walking to him like, where's the music? Why isn't the music on?
Yeah.
I mean, for the few minutes that it was off. But it was just, I'm so thankful that we turned to worship, because I believe worship became a weapon for us, because there was prayer too, but there were times when we just really couldn't pray.
Yeah.
And thank God for all the friends, and we'll get to that in part 2, but that did pray because we couldn't.
Yeah. And I, just to back up to the week leading up to his procedure, a God amazing thing was that I was able to breastfeed him before his procedure, which everyone was like, you don't understand how incredible this is that you can do this.
Right.
And
or that he is
latching,
he is
exactly.
actually, getting milk.
Well, and you learned from the lactation consultant at the hospital that most heart babies don't do well feeding.
Right.
And they have trouble. And Beau is the total opposite.
He's total opposite.
Yeah, that was the day we left. One of the lactation specialists came in and was just, she started tearing up and crying. And it was
She was literally said it was a miracle.
Yeah, you'll always remember, like, it was a God moment. Like, God was in that room. Like, you just felt his presence. She was a Christian. We had scripture all over the wall. So she was talking about that. She's like, I just want you guys to know, like, this is a miracle that Beau is gaining weight, is breastfeeding the way that he is. And yeah, that a lot of heart babies, that's their biggest struggle because eating is a workout for them.
Right.
So that puts strain on their heart.
Whereas with Beau, when he would breastfeed, his saturations, his oxygen saturations would go through the roof.
And they had no explanation.
And there was no explanation for that. All the doctors, I asked so many, and they were like, we can't explain that. And I just feel like that was like a little hug from God for me.
Yes.
Like as his mom, because everything else, like I felt like I could do. I mean, there was literally nothing I could do. Like I couldn't fix his heart. I couldn't do anything in that sense, but almost like a hug from God to be like, this is something you can do.
Right.
And it blessed me so much. And to be able to just be able to provide for him in that way was such a blessing to me. So that was a huge God thing throughout our time there. But after his procedure, in order for Beau to go home, he has to come off of the medication, the prostaglandin.
There's that prostaglandin.
Which it saved his life. And yet at the same time, it was so hard. I don't know how many weeks went on that he was on the medication because he has to come off of it, but then his heart has to relax enough to pump the blood so that his oxygen saturation can go up. Am I right? I mean, I didn't get the honorary degree, so I'm not sure if this is all making sense.
Yeah, so he had his procedure on day 7, which opened up his pulmonary valve, allowed blood to flow through the pulmonary valve into the lungs, to the left side of the heart, out to the body. The issue was they explained like the right ventricle was very muscle bound. So it was tense because it was trying to pump blood against a closed valve. So a great analogy was like when you lift your biceps get bigger. And when you stop lifting, you lose that muscle. So they wanted that post-procedure, they wanted the right ventricle to relax. And the more the right ventricle relaxed, the more blood flow that it allows in to the pulmonary valve, to the lungs, etc. So the medication, keeping that duct open, which we spoke about earlier, was essentially a bridge to give his body enough oxygenated blood until his heart could fully handle the workload, essentially.
Yeah.
So that was just an absolute roller coaster. He came off the prostaglandin 4 times. The 4th time was the answer to our prayers when he was able to finally come off of it. But that was just an emotional roller coaster.
Awful.
Because when he came off of it, his oxygen levels, not right away, but eventually would plummet to where he couldn't stay off of it, and they would have to put him back on it to open that valve up to like give his heart more time to relax. So
such a roller coaster.
It was an emotional roller coaster, and we had no date that we could hold on to, like, oh, this is the day we get to go home. And I think that was really hard too, because you're in the hospital and you feel like you're going to be there forever.
Right.
Like I literally felt like we were never going to get out of there. And it felt just so long. And to not have a date that we can look forward to, like we get to go home on this day, like if we just push through. So, and we honestly, going into the 4th time, we had all really said, it's either this or they're going to have to do another procedure.
Yeah. If he couldn't come off the prostaglandin, they would put a stent in that duct because they can't keep him on that medication forever. So they were going to have to get him off the meds. And if his heart wasn't quite ready, they would have to do another heart cath, put a stent in that duct to keep it open, just to essentially buy more time.
Which would be a whole another procedure.
To relax.
Weeks of healing and
a whole nother podcast. Maybe you guys have done this before, but it's just waiting and time. Even the doctors were like, it's just time. Like he needs time. His heart needs time to relax and to heal post-procedure. So they didn't even know.
Right.
Like it was really it was all speculation. And again, we had an incredible team and we're so thankful for them. One of the doctors even said, like, we'll use Beau as
an example
for future kids who go through this, because they gave Beau more time on the medication without rushing to another cath procedure than they typically would based off of some data. Like, I think data showed usually kids would come off the prostaglandin in 7 to 14 days. And I think Beau was 21 or 24 days. And the doctors were amazing. And they were like, if you guys are cool with
Waiting it out.
waiting another,
2
because I think we
weeks.
went like 13, 14 days after the third time. We're like, let's just give him and his body a time of no change, stability, eating, just being a baby.
I'm
And like,
so
we're so
thankful we
thankful. And
did.
even our doctor, he's like, I'm really thankful we did this.
Right.
And we waited. We gave him that extra 13 days. And at that point, we were all confident, like, if he couldn't come off the medication, like, the next best step was another procedure. And thankfully, thank God we avoided that. And he was able to come off that medication.
It was interesting because we took him off on a Monday, super early Monday morning. I think it was like 5 a.m. They took him off of it. Then it was the waiting period, waiting to see if his oxygen levels would plummet to where they would have to put him back on it. And then we'd have to do the procedure. The procedure was scheduled for Friday. We were going into that week saying, like, okay, if he can't get off of it Friday, he's getting the cath procedure. I remember you stayed with Beau Tuesday night, and Wednesday, Parker and I came in, and you're like, the doctors want to talk to you. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, are they going to say we have to do the procedure? I didn't know what they were going to say.
Right.
So we come in because Parker and I stayed at the hotel that night to get some sleep, and 3 doctors come in, and I'm like, oh no.
Right.
And you immediately think that's bad.
Right.
And they started talking to us about how they were happy with where his saturations were and everything. And they were like, so we're thinking going home on Friday. And I'm like, wait, you mean
like,
this
what?
Friday? Like 2 days, this Friday.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
What a shift.
Yeah.
And it's like, as you guys are talking about, I'm thinking, and we'll wrap this part 1 up because there's just so much to cover. I'm thinking about how nights were so hard. Every night that I tried to leave, Erin, you probably cried every time, but you're also postpartum, and like, why wouldn't you be crying? Of course you're going to be crying. And just the staff, how get to know the staff and the change of in nurses and just all the dynamics going on at the hospital, and how Beau had to adapt to so many things. He didn't know. He has no idea, and he'll never understand, or not understand, but he'll never remember any of this. Right. But just all the things and the ways that he adapted to everything that was going on and being intubated. And then he had to come off that. We didn't even talk about that. He had to be intubated for his procedure, then coming off the breathing machine, and then being on oxygen, and then coming off of oxygen. And it's just, there was so much that happened. And it was 38 days that it went by fast, but it went by really, really, really slow.
Yeah.
And there's so much to unpack. We could talk. We could literally,
that's the thing.
we could sit here and talk for 12 hours about this.
We could.
I just, there's so much we can unpack from a medical standpoint, from the roller coaster of emotions in the midst of those 38 days, like what went on coming off the medicine, other things that popped up, low saturations, oxygen, intubation, the procedure. I mean, there's just so much. There's so much from a spiritual side to unpack. You talked about the Million Little Miracles book, different miracles that happen in the midst of those 38 days, and like unpacking those, like what God was trying to show us or teach us. We could just talk forever. Like, there is so much, and it's tough to
Well, that's where, and I think that we've covered a lot in this episode. And in part 2, I think we just need to share what we learned from God, because there is so much. Thank you for sharing, Erin and Parker, what you did today. And I know it took courage, and I know Beau's probably waiting in the other room for you, Erin.
I miss him. I'm sitting here like I really miss him right now.
He probably is hungry at this point.
Yeah.
but I'm just,
we haven't got a knock on the door, so maybe
we haven't.
Maybe he's sleeping with
He's
Gigi,
with Gigi Mom.
That's that, and
The
she's
best.
amazing. Again, my
She's-
mom just.
I mean, she came. She came every morning.
we ended up
Her
having
time-
a routine.
yeah, we did have a
That's the
routine.
thing. When you're at the hospital for so long, you really do develop a routine. And like, okay, Grandma and Cameron would go get lunch for everybody, and then we'd have like a night. It's just,
But her time was 10 a.m. Every morning she'd come at 10 a.m. I remember just looking forward to her being there. I knew I would look at the clock and be like, okay, she's coming at 10. And then it was like me, her, Beau, like it was our time to get to spend with her before you came, before
Right.
Cam came, before anyone else came. And it was just so special. And now she comes to my house a few times a week and she gets her special Beau time. I grew up with her being around
Right.
all the time because of Hunter. So
Right.
now having her, being around her all the time with Beau is just, it's a great, incredible blessing that I don't know if we would have that if we didn't have
Right.
those 38 days in the hospital. I don't know if she'd be coming over like 4 or 5 days out of the week to spend with us. And
I don't think a lot
she
of
would
things
say
would be
she would probably
happening.
say she would want to be there
Right.
anyway. But just having her there is just so special. So
amazing. Well, again, thank you guys for
and I
sharing.
just want to say thank you to everyone listening. If you have prayed for us
Oh my goodness.
while we were in the hospital, if you've continued to pray for Beau, just thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, we could not thank you enough for praying, for the messages that you have sent us. Obviously, we can't respond to every single one because there are a lot, but just thank you. It means the world to us.
Well, I think, and too, like this became a news story, which I
Mhm.
think was once we decided, well, we knew we had to share so that the media didn't try to share it in their own way. You know,
Mhm.
we knew Daddy wanted to do a press release, and because of his golf tournament and everything that was happening at the time, and I'm
Football
really
camp.
football camp. Thank you. It
That
wasn't the
was
golf tournament; it was
if it
football
wasn't
camp.
for that, like we may like I doubt
Well, we
Jim
would
We
have
might
had,
have waited
we
a
would have
little
maybe
longer.
waited a little longer, but then doing the press release and, you know, having some of our posts on Instagram have over 5 million views. It's just people really care.
Mhm.
And I think that we were reminded of that once again. I mean, we knew what it was like when everything, you know, obviously we didn't have social media with Hunter, but, or even iPhones. Ugh. But when Daddy went through his cancer, just the outpouring of support and prayers and people caring and reaching out, it was double that for everything that happened with Beau,
Yeah.
and we're just so, so thankful. We definitely don't have adequate words to thank
No.
people
Yeah,
enough and to
no.
thank our friends, and just it's you do really realize, and you know, you find out who your real friends are when you
Mhm.
go through stuff like this,
Yeah.
and there were some people that I'm like, "Wow, we were just so in awe."
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
thank you, like Erin said, thank you so, so, so much. And
And
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, and lastly, if you are watching clips of this on Instagram, we are wearing Team Beau apparel. We have shirts. Parker has a shirt that says Team Beau, and on the back there's a heart, and it says "All Heart, All In." And we gave similar. Well, we created a different design, but T-shirts like this for our crew at the hospital because we love them and they were so amazing. But we also created these because if you know our family, you know that we are very team oriented
Yeah,
for obvious
really?
reasons. Um, but we're gonna share more about these in the next episode. But we are selling these on the Hunter's Hope website, and the proceeds are going to what we are calling Beau's Blessings. And Beau's Blessings, I'll just briefly share it now. We're going to share more in the next episode, but it is a way for us to help families that are in the NICU or the PICU and really to provide support for them with things that we needed. You know,
Right,
when
I
we were
love
in the
this, yes.
hospital, there were certain things that we desperately needed. And so we want to help provide that for other families. And so these designs and a few others, we have a few other fun designs too, in honor of Beau, are our way of helping other families who are going through something similar. So we'll share
Yeah.
more in the next episode.
Yes.
And I'll just say too, to echo Aaron, just thank you to everyone who followed along, and we're thankful that Jill was the one who Jill and Jim shared everything, so we
Oh,
didn't have
yeah.
to like worry
Mhm.
about that. And we're very thankful for that because the prayers carried us. I mean, we truly believe that. And I know Jill said like we don't have adequate words to thank our friends, families, people we don't know that were praying for us. It was overwhelming. Like
Yes,
the
it
amount
was.
of like messages or comments of people praying, you're like, in a way, you're like, why are these people praying for us? You
Mm.
know? And like obviously we're going through something terrible, but it was overwhelming. It was incredible that
Mhm.
these people are taking 5 seconds, a minute, whatever it is, out of their day to pray for Beau, for us, for our family. So we're just so appreciative of that. And it was overwhelming. I know we used that word many times. Like the love, support, prayers was extremely overwhelming for us, and we couldn't have done it without it.
It's immeasurably more.
It really is.
Hey, so It's immeasurably more, and we have immeasurably more to share. So stay tuned. Part 2
Stay
coming soon.
tuned.